I cannot believe what I'm about to say, but the Dead Space Remake is amazing. Now, hold your applauses. Let's talk about why the game is good. For anyone who is not familiar with Dead Space and this would be his first time experiencing the series, stop the video and go buy it. Seriously, this game is some good food. For any returning fans who are wondering what's new this time around and if everything has been kept intact, stick around and I will tell you why this game is amazing. First things first, the story. Dead Space Remake opens up with a video call from Nicole, explaining how she wishes she could talk to Isaac. Isaac being an engineer and our protagonist. The video is interrupted to introduce us to our teammate Kendra, a computer specialist. She reveals that Isaac has been watching this video non-stop. Isaac explaining that he is desperate to see Nicole, and it seems that the team's mission coincides with that objective. That mission is fixing the USG Ishimura, a mining vessel that has not been responding since starting its operation on the planet Aegis 7. And Nicole Brennan, who is Isaac's lover and also a doctor aboard the USG Ishimura, is there. After a bumpy ride, we crash land on the USG Ishimura's ship. This is where we get a closer look at our Chief Commanding Officer Hammond, our pilot Chen, and we also get to see Haley Johnston, who unfortunately due to the crash landing has broken her ankle and she's sitting this one out. We then rejoin our team on our way to the front door of the Ishimura, where we get our rig synced by the system, which tells us that we should collect the stasis module and a kinesis module from the chief engineer Jacob Temple.
Rig synced. Collect kinesis and stasis modules from acting chief engineer Jacob Temple.
Interesting thing about Jacob Temple in the original game is that you only get to hear him through audio logs.
Personal log. Acting chief engineer Jacob Temple. It's been 2 days since they pulled that planet open, since my captain died.
While here he is more organically introduced into the story.
Hey, Liz, it's Jacob. I couldn't reach you. If you find this, I'm off deck, but I'll be right back. I got a call from another survivor. He sounded terrified. I'm gonna lock up the SOS beacon and go and get him.
This is the type of stuff that makes this game very organic, and we're gonna talk more into detail about this later on. But first, let's get back to the story. As Isaac makes his way into the main hall, his commanding officer says that he should do a damage report, and Isaac finds something interesting on the floor.
Something on the floor here. Seth?
I need that damage report.
I mean, blood on the floor can mean a lot of things, you know. It could be just a workplace accident. It definitely doesn't mean that there's something wrong.
What the fuck are these things?
The ones I saw, some of them were wearing Ishimura uniforms.
So a group of specialists stranded on a spaceship being attacked by a foreign species that can apparently go through vents and infect people. What could it possibly... It's alien. It's alien. But don't let that distract you from the fact that we still have a ship to fix while dealing with these creepy crawlies. Not the average day of an engineer, huh? However, this is not your average engineer. Armed with a plasma cutter and a spacesuit, you're determined to push through the hordes, understand the chaos, and look for your missing love, Nicole. What makes this whole opening sequence so good is the fact that it's been faithfully recreated from the 2008 game, down to the last possible minute detail. It's just perfection. I just can't say anything more. This is called dedication and love.
It was perfect. Perfect. Everything.
The voice actors have done a phenomenal job in this game, bringing all these characters to life, especially Isaac Clarke, who is voiced by his original voice actor from Dead Space 2, Gunnar Wright.
You good, bro? I've got to fix half the Ishimura single-handedly, knowing that they're planning on scrapping it in a year. Could be better.
In the original game, Isaac would listen to people talking to him, but never really talk back. Therefore, he didn't really have any control over his actions apart from if the game told him what to do.
You need to activate the atrium elevators from bridge security. You can use them to get to the junction boxes.
While in this game, he actually has agency as a character, and now he talks back, suggesting ideas and even like taking leadership.
The cannons are useless.
What about manual targeting?
You want to go out there with all that shit raining down and target the ADS cannons manually?
If I give the cannons enough targeting data, it'll recalibrate the system. You got a better idea?
Christ. I'll open exterior access. I hope you know what you're doing.
It is a nice added touch, and it doesn't take away from the horror aspect, as he's not chatty, reacting only during story sequences that would make him scared.
Fuck me! Ugh. Transmit Transmitting codes now.
Kendra Daniels receives a complete makeover with a new voice actor, Bridget Calicanales, and a new personality that makes her a lot more likable this time around.
Isaac. Oh my god, Isaac. You made it. Hammond, run!
Whilst in the original, she was kind of bossy and almost like a Karen.
More what? What the hell are those things? Is that the crew? You're crazy, Hammond. You're gonna get us all killed. Damn it, everything is on the other side of this quarantine. We can't reach it from here.
Zach Hammond, who is voiced by Anthony Alabi, gets a more well-rounded character arc this time around and sounds a lot more compassionate and worried for his teammates.
Isaac.
Yeah?
I'm sure Nicole's okay. She's the doctor, right? She'll do the smart thing. Isaac, have you heard from Daniels? We were attacked. She ran the other way.
I do want to address one controversial aspect of the game, and that's all the woke comments towards all of the character changes that happen. For example, in the original game, Haley Johnston is just Johnston, and she is male, which is making people believe that this is another forced transition of a character. However, I believe that the character's purpose is to be shock value to the player, and that isn't lost in the remake. On the contrary, it is actually even more impactful because a chapter later you get to see the body of your teammate decaying and decrepit. Similar criticism was given to Nicole for looking way too old, almost like a grandma, apparently. As my girlfriend said, with higher graphics come higher graphical wrinkles, and I will make my theory that back in the day they wanted to make the characters look their age, but didn't have the technology and had to go flat. In addition, the character is supposed to look more in line with the voice actor, Tanya Clark, who also played Nicole in Dead Space 2. And if this is what she's modeled after, then oh yeah. Which is more than I can say for Isaac, who honestly looks like the illegitimate child of Adam Sandler and Philip DeFranco. I understand he's supposed to look like Gunnar Wright, but would it have killed them to add like a little beard? Nicole also gets more screen time this time around, thanks to the handful of side missions in the game. Really fleshes out her character. Did I just say side missions? Yes, there are side missions in the game. Not only do they flesh out certain interactions between characters more, one of those characters being Dr. Merson, played by Farhan Tahir, who's so much more elaborate and diabolical this time around. While his creation, the Hunter, has been humanized with a backstory as to how it was created, but they also reward you for completing them with a nice little upgrade to your suit abilities. I recommend everyone does them as they flesh out the story and lend themselves to exploration. And oh boy, is the exploration even better here than the original. On top of the normal side rooms that you could visit, now you get access to new areas through the security level system. As you progress into the game, Hammond will upgrade your security clearance, and you will be able to unlock doors you couldn't before, including locked chests. This inclusion makes Dead Space feel more akin to a Metroidvania, where you had to get a special skill or item to let you pass through certain terrain. Atmosphere helps accommodate this, making every visit to a new or old area that much scarier thanks to the soundtrack. This is all due in part to Trevor Gurekis, known for his work on the TV series Servant and the movie Old. The other part being reused tracks from Jason Graves, the original composer for Dead Space and a legend in his own right in the Dead Space community. And while on the topic of artists, let's talk about how strikingly beautiful this game is, especially the lighting and smoke effects. I just love how the ship gets progressively more flesh-like, showing the influence of the necromorphs as you move further into the game. But if you thought that was the cream of the crop, then you forgot what Dead Space is known for: the gameplay. Welcome to Dead Space's gameplay, where you'll be spending most of your time. What makes this game awfully addicting is that you're shooting necromorphs with a purpose, beyond killing, and that is to take them apart, bit by bit, whether it's legs, arms, or tails. They've introduced a new peeling system, which is now an indication for the enemy's health. The more flesh that comes out, and the more bone that shows, the weaker the enemy is. Good old Stasis returns, and it has that nice calming ASMR-like sound from the first game.
Oh, fuck.
It is a time-bending module that lets you slow down enemies in your line of fire, perfect for when you need more breathing room. Telekinesis also comes back and gets the same properties as Dead Space 2, being able to snap Necromorph's sharp limbs to your glove, which you can then shoot at enemies, pinning them to the walls.
Home run!
Zero-G sections are also here and have been given the Dead Space 2 treatment, where you can now float in space with your gravity boots instead of point jumping like the original. These sections can be a bit disorienting, and it can be hard finding where the enemies are, especially because of the lack of light and the enemies being a lot darker than the original game. One major change in the remake is the infamous ADS cannon part from the old game that arguably had the hardest trophy tied to it, due to the lackluster controls and aiming. However, in the remake, it has been revamped to be a more modern and less aggravating section, and the dev team have completely removed the trophy. Thank God for that. Additionally, Isaac gets his classic stomp and melee swing back, the latter of which is now more useful than ever thanks to the Plasma Cutter's special upgrade, which makes your melee knock down enemies in a single hit, almost like a little jab at Callisto's melee. But I digress. You have all the original weapons making a return, starting with the good old-fashioned Plasma Cutter. The most interesting part about the Plasma Cutter is that Isaac gets to build it in-game, showcasing his engineering prowess and skill. This is further expanded a chapter later where he puts the hydrazine bomb together, and this time around he takes cover from the explosion, unlike the original where he just stands there. Huh? Pulse Rifle is back, however its original Sprinkler of Doom alternate fire has been replaced by a Mine alt fire, which you can attach to surfaces and objects, meaning you can create death traps such as this one.
Special delivery!
The only complaint I have for the Pulse Rifle is that the sound effects are not as good as the originals.
My disappointment is immeasurable.
Line Gun also gets a similar change to its alt fire, where you can put up laser mines instead of like a timed bomb like the original, but they can also be attached to objects, and you know what that means. The flamethrower used to be one of the weakest weapons in the original. Sorry, buddy. But this time around, it really turns up the heat.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
It also sports a new alternate attack, replacing the burst fire projectile from the original with a firewall. No, not that firewall. This firewall. The Ripper returns with its classic buzzsaw that cuts through necromorphs, but also gets a little upgrade in the form of a ricochet from surfaces. The Force Gun is also back. It used to be a weapon that knocked back enemies. It now blasts off enemies' flesh and gives them a complete makeover.
You one ugly motherfucker.
Additionally, it includes a new alternate fire that sucks enemies into the void. And last but not least, my personal favorite, the Contact Beam, which has seen a complete makeover, with the primary fire being a plasma cannon, making it feel like you're firing an anime beam attack. Thanks to all the new gadgets on your weapons, you can make some killer combo attacks, such as this one.
It's beautiful!
What really makes the weapons shine is they're not actually real weapons, they're mining tools within the Dead Space universe.
What is a mining weapon in space? And so that kind of how we got to the Plasma Cutter, we're like, yeah, a miner would use that. And that grew then to came to understand, oh, all of his tools are mining tools.
Even using mining tools, you feel empowered. So how do the scares stay fresh? Well, it's all thanks to the Intensity Director, a new system meant to keep you on your toes even on return visits to old areas.
Hello there.
Depending on the difficulty, this will scale to send you more necromorphs, which forces you to be prepared at all times.
Oh, fuck.
Granted, Isaac is a lot faster in this game than the original, and at times it feels like you're going at Sonic speed.
Deja vu, I just been in this place before. Higher on the street and I know it's my time.
Dead Space Remake has been gifted the respec option from Dead Space 2, allowing you to remove all nodes from a weapon for the price of 5,000 credits, so that you can put them on a different weapon instead. I think more video games need to have this option, especially since the success of last year's Giant, because this encourages experimentation with different builds, allowing you to customize to your liking and never get bored from using the same weapons. It all makes for a really exciting and rewarding combat system that was already great 15 years ago, but has now been elevated with quality of life changes to preserve the original game's feel, while also adding something new and fresh. Speaking of something new and fresh, isn't it great to have a new game plus at launch? Unlike some other games. Granted, this was a feature in the original, so it was a no-brainer. But in this day and age, you never know what to expect.
You never know what you're gonna get.
New Game Plus is the same as the original. You get to keep all of your previous weapons, money, nodes, and once you get to the first store, you are reintroduced to the soldier suit in all of its glory.
Yeah, baby!
You also get the ability to change into Isaac's mining suit from the original game, with all the old textures and everything. They've also worked in the highly requested feature of changing into your previous level suits. Thanks, Motive. Aside from the old experience in New Game Plus, there are new, more powerful enemies and additional story content if you're able to collect 12 curious items. So I would say that this game has to be played twice to be fully experienced. There's a number of cool details and little secrets, one of my favorites being Isaac's face getting bloodied after shooting enemies, or his suit freezing in space in cryogenics, and melting once you exit those cold places. And I just love how they added the original game's nursery rhyme into the remake. Out of all the countless Easter eggs and secrets, easily my favorite has to be this one right here.
There once was a ship from the DED, Ishimura USG. She cracked on the moon with gravity. Go me, boy, boy, go.
How often is it that you get to hear a space shanty? I do have some minor complaints about the game, one of which is the change to a great visual storytelling moment, where once you kill an almost limbless necromorph, you find an audio log that tells you more about the person who tried to weaken himself in an attempt to not become a bigger threat. It was eerie and sad. While in the remake, the audio log is next to the body of the person, and he never turns into an enemy. The other complaint is towards the mining processing room, where you have to get rid of pieces of asteroids. In the original, the gravity well sucks up the rocks, making them naturally flow out of the ship, while in the remake they just explode on contact. Last minor complaint is towards a wall writing. In the original game, you had like a writing which said, "We are so effed," and a reply below it saying, "Oh, it's okay to be effed." But in the remake, they changed the placing of the reply into a completely different room for some reason. I did discover one glitch in the game which got me stuck to the side of an elevator on my New Game Plus run, and I had to use desperate measures to get out. Overall, the experience playing this game is like meeting an old friend, seeing that he's still the same old person, but has been able to adapt to the new environment and can still surprise you. Based on the positive reception from people on Metacritic, countless of YouTube videos praising the game, and the development team's AMA, I would say that this game was a success on many levels. Now, did Dead Space need a remake? Probably not. But was the remake worth it? Yes. It revitalized interest in the Dead Space universe and in space horror. After almost 14 years of waiting, Dead Space has made us whole. I'd like to thank everybody for watching the whole video, and if you got to this part, please do consider leaving a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel, and if not, leave a comment in the section and tell me what you thought of the video, what you liked, what you didn't like. And yeah, I don't know what my next video is gonna be, but it might not be horror related, but I'm not sure about that. We'll see. I wish everybody a great week ahead, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.